Hi, everyone. I'm Frank Mallicoat, reporter and anchor for KTVU Fox 2 here in the San Francisco Bay Area. My guest is the head of nutrition for Nucific. She's here to talk about healthy eating habits and weight gain as we all hunker down, perhaps another time sheltering in place during the pandemic. Let's say hi to Dr. Amy Lee. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Good to have you as well. According to a recent survey, Americans apparently are gaining a little weight as they hunker down at home. Tell us why. Why are we gaining weight?
I think it comes down to that anxiety of unknown. Not knowing what is going to be happening. A pandemic is obviously a first experience for a lot of us. And so oftentimes we eat out of emotion, we get stressed, and we find things that are easily accessible to help us calm down. And unfortunately, foods with high sugar or packed with high processed carbs tend to do just that.
We've all become grazers, right? It's like you're working from home and you're like, let's see what's in the fridge, or on the counter. Right. Yeah, guilty of that. Well, COVID, we may be hitting a second wave here. It sure looks like it. A lot of cases going up exponentially all over the country and really all over the world. Europe has been hit hard. And people are talking about stockpiling and going out and, buying canned foods and food to make sure they're okay. Is that a good idea? And if so, what should they be buying?
Well, I mean, we sort of learned from the first wave, right? And, we have experienced this whole chaos of everyone buying everything up in the supermarket place. And then I'm sure people do remember that you look at these shelves and it's all empty. And we tend to go for like the really easily accessible items and things that are cheap. We figured if we just stockpile a bunch of crackers and cookies and things highly packed with carbohydrates, then it'll last us long enough for, doomsday almost. But in reality, go back to March, April, maybe the first couple months where you were experiencing the sight of empty shelves, but then everyone actually, or at least most of the supermarkets actually do have stock. I think it's this like initial creation of this anxiety or angst that we mentally acquired, and then we figured everyone else is hoarding, so we may as well go and buy up everything that we could as well. But in reality, you don't have to, because everything did actually eventually go back to normal, right?
Yeah, it didn't disappear. It's still there, unless you're talking toilet paper.
Eggs and milk are still there.
I know. I spent 25 years in Boston, and every snowstorm, people were buying bread, eggs, and milk, and it's like,
right.
Yeah, it's a couple of days, guys. You're going to be okay, right?
Right. And there are things that people do stock up on, like, beans and rice and things of that nature, where you can leave in your pantry for years and years. I got friends who stock up their freezers with, meats and proteins. But even that, there's a shelf life too. You can only keep something frozen for 4 to 6 months, really. And so think about this time around, what you would do differently. That's not going to seem so crazy compared to the last time. And truly, we don't need to stock up on all the processed foods and, the cookies and the snacks and whatnot, because those things are not going to go away.
Tell us, what are comfort foods, and why do we, when we're a little depressed or stressed out or just frazzled, that we tend to, want a big pot of stew or macaroni and cheese? What is it about?
Well, simple sugars and processed sugars tend to hit those receptors in our brains, and our bodies recognize these sort of chemicals, these compounds, and we grow up knowing what sugar is. And so when you are repeatedly sort of subjecting your body and exposing all the receptors in your body, both in the brain and in the stomach, of the same sugary foods, you do actually end up building tolerance. But the thing is, it does cause this instant calm for a lot of people. And that's why we always go back to that bowl of ice cream or the cookie that we relate to comfort so much. I have never really met anyone who would run for a bowl of broccoli when they're feeling bad, but it's always the high sugar foods. And so with that, I always view sugar as a type of drug. And I tell my patients this, you got to get yourself away from it. You can wean yourself off it, just like a actual drug, but you have to actually realize that issue about yourself. And so sugar it's very addictive. First thing first, for this time around, think about, all right, look in your pantry. If you see that you have a bunch of stuff that is highly packed with sugar, then likely it's time to make changes.
How about alcohol? Because wine sales, spirit sales, beer sales have all gone up, and some people sadly have turned to that to, to kind of self-medicate a little bit. That's full of sugar. It also puts on weight, and it's not all that good for you either.
For sure, for sure. The calorie density per gram of alcohol compared to sugar is a little bit higher. It's been estimated it's about 7 to 11 calories per gram in alcohol versus carbohydrates. So, and it's an empty calorie, meaning when you take, a drink, likely you're not getting your proteins, fats, or carbohydrate, or minerals and vitamins. And so you're just taking in calories. Now, during COVID, I think everyone sort of got used to drinking at home. Why? Because it's cheap to drink at home, right? You're no longer spending 15, 16 bucks for a martini when you can make it for a fraction of the cost. And so that also obviously add on to the use and potential abuse of it. In my business, we see a lot of that. I see a lot of patients who claim that they have gained the COVID 15 to 30, and really due to not just consumption of carbohydrates in food form, but also alcohol.
So if we are heading to the grocery store, and as you say, doomsday, if COVID gets really bad and we got to shelter in place again,
Mm-hmm.
What types of items that do have a shelf life? You mentioned beans and that kind of thing, but with a good nutritional value, what should we be buying?
Well, first of all, calm down, don't freak out, and really look at the certain, meals that you do eat at home, things that are staples. And oftentimes, in human behavior, we only really buy 6 to 8 things at the supermarket all the time. It's always the same things that we do get. But also notice that or understand that you can also buy fruits and vegetables and preserve it yourself without having to buy it from the food industry as well. Meaning, yes, you can do the frozen fruits and vegetables in the freezer aisle. You can also, preserve it yourself. But personally, I'm a big fan of, or at least I got caught on with the buying your own sort of like garden kit at home. And if you're in sunny California, of course, you can still grow things. However, if you're in colder climates, there are now ways of growing indoors with these special lights. And the cost is actually not too drastically different from buying actual fruits and vegetables at the produce section. And of course, things that you can do also would be preserving your own food. Even reconsider this whole thing about dehydrating your food. Making your own fruit preserves and whatnot, which could help you sort of save up everything that you have purchased with a longer shelf life.
Can you have a cheat day?
Totally.
Okay.
I'm not against cheat days, but oftentimes some people make it cheat week or month, and that's when people get in trouble. So moderation is key. A few times of the week, if you feel like you want to go out and enjoy yourself and not have to deal with dishes at home, totally fine. But everything you eat, you should be mindful about. But you can have a few French fries here and there.
How about a little exercise to
exercise is super important. I mean, besides the fact that we are stuck at home nowadays, we have to be super creative on what we can do. I get it. Some of the gyms are still closed, the parks are still closed, but you know what? The streets aren't closed. So you can still get yourself out there. And of course, there are all kinds of online apps right now that are available to you. Some are even free on YouTube, where you just download a 30-minute video, drag a family member with you and do it with you. And it actually becomes more motivating when someone else is joining you.
I know Peloton stock has gone up quite a bit. A lot of people have turned their homes into gyms. And if I turned this around, you'd see a Peloton and weights and
all treadmill with the towels.
Exactly. It's, your homes are multi-purpose now. How about nutrition for your mental health? Alcohol is not a great idea, but a lot of people are a little depressed, low energy, and just tired, especially if we're going to go through this again. What kind of foods can help us kind of break out of that?
Yeah, so, there are certain foods that actually could be very inflammatory. Inflammation causes sort of just chronic fatigue for a lot of people. Especially processed sugars, for example. When you eat your initial, whatever it is, it could be a bite of donut or cookies and whatnot. It gives you that sort of bliss, the sensation of wellness or almost euphoria for the first 20 minutes. But we know that processed sugars give you this peak and dip real quickly versus good lean proteins, fruits and vegetables could actually keep you fuller and more satisfied, plus all the minerals and vitamins. We always talk about superfoods and superfoods ingredients, phytochemicals that are found in fruits and vegetables that have real good benefits for elevating the mood. Or you can even Google something called nootropics, which are chemicals found in natural foods that actually helps with tapping on those receptors in your brain that helps with issues with anxiety and depression. So lots of stuff out there.
And supplements, vitamins, good idea to be taking now to stay healthy and keep COVID away, I guess.
Well, I mean, if you're the type of person who's already taking a daily vitamin, great, continue that on. I truly see vitamins and supplements as a great foundation tool. Sometimes we just run the risk of not acquiring enough from our natural food sources. And especially when, in this very telling time, sometimes the consistency in our meals could be, kind of inconsistent. So therefore, having a good multivitamin, I'm a big fan of just taking a high dose of vitamin C as well. And I'm talking about 500 to 1,000 milligrams on a daily basis. At least gives me the sense of comfort that I'm doing my part, and then food and everything else is something that could be played around with throughout the day.
I hear you. I hear you. And when I eat some of that guilty food, I always think, oh God, you bad guy. I better go have a salad, But if you just balance it out, you should be okay. Well, doctor, tell us, if people want to get in touch with you, get more information, how do they do it?
Well, you can read some of my blogs and content on nucific.com. I also have Instagram where it's Dr. Amy_Lee. You can find me there with some of my lifestyle posts and things of that nature.
All right. And what's your go-to food? What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Well, here's the funny thing. I usually make myself a berry smoothie with proteins. And of course, I forgot it at home.
All right. Well, a Snickers bar goes a long way, but that's a story for another day. Dr. Lee, what a pleasure. Thanks for all the insight. I hope you stay healthy, your family as well, and we all get through this together.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. That's Dr. Amy Lee, a nutritionist down in Southern California. I'm Frank Mallicoat. If you'd like more information, you can go to newsnowfox.com. Have a great day, everybody.